Hi everybody, welcome back. I apologize, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty switching the camera over, and now we got it, so we're good. But we're back on our page. This is the spread number 30. Let me see which one we're on. Spread number 35. So number 35, and so that means 35 times 2 is 60, 70 pages of illustration so far. And this is actually my palette. I realized last time I was trying to show you, it didn't show up on the camera, but you can see I have all of the numbers listed here. I have all of my colors in the same order as they are on the palette. This is my second palette. I'll show you guys. I have another palette of colors. They're all numbered. It helps me to just keep everything organized so I know what I'm doing. And this is the actual first palette of paint. I'm gonna add all of my water to that using this little handy eyedropper thing that I have, turkey baster, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be useful for that. And I think I showed you guys my brushes last time. My favorite one right here, the Master's Touch 18. This is a Master's Touch 8, round. It's really super soft on the edge. Let me see, where's my other brush? I'm missing one. I'm missing a brush. Somebody took my brush. Somebody has taken it. Someone has removed my brush and placed it where I had it not to be. Okay. Just moving stuff around right now. But I do have an extra one, but man, where's my first one that I had? It's somewhere around here, but I don't see it. So I'll just show you guys what the other one looks like. It's also a Master's Touch. This is a number 1 round. That's what it looks like. They're all handy. They all work for my purposes that I need them to. And to see if there's any. I think we're good. I just can't find my other brush though. I'm sure it will come up at some point when I'm not expecting it to. So, let me fill up my paint with some water here. But if you guys have guessed it before, if you have questions about any part of the process or any part of what I'm doing, feel free to let me know. You know, this is supposed to be, hopefully, informative and helpful. And I cannot, like, imagine what questions you might have, you know. So I can only think of, like, what I might ask, which may be entirely not helpful to you. Hopefully something I think of is, but you know, the more you let me know like what it is you want to know, the more it can, I think, be helpful in that way to you. And without further ado, I'm gonna go. I started this spread already. This is my villain. I don't know how well you can see him. His name is Hatim. He has a lot of a grudge, I'll say, or vengeance in his heart. This is like a serious photo of him. Not even painted yet. I think it probably looks even creepier unpainted. This is his, not his actual daughter, but his stepdaughter. It's the daughter of his wife, who he kind of likes, but has no issue correcting her or letting her know that she's wrong. Sort of a deal. He's not the most patient of stepfathers, but that's just where they're at right now. So I'm going to be working on these. I think I'll finish these today. They shouldn't take very long. I mean, it's already started, but I think I got at least another good 2 hours to go on these, maybe even a little bit more. But I think in another, I want to give it like 2.5 hours, I should be kind of done with these. And I only have, after this spread, I only have 2 more spreads for the whole book. So that's kind of exciting that I'm coming to kind of like the closing point of this stage. I do have a couple of other stages left, but just to be closing this very long chapter of coloring these spreads is a huge accomplishment. I haven't thought about what I want to do to celebrate it other than just get to the ink. I just need to like get to the next page. I don't know if I'm gonna spend too much time celebrating it, just because this process has been so long, and you know, it hasn't been like solid. It's been like working like on a regular tight schedule and then leaving it for a while to let it sit and then coming back to it. It's been like a long process. So I think the best thing I can do to celebrate finishing the watercolors part of it is just starting the ink. And just like, you know, maybe doing a post on Instagram or something like, yay, I finished the watercolors, after long months. But it's exciting. It's exciting to see like it just felt like it was never ending for the longest time. It just felt like, oh, get my words right. Like I said before, I really love watercolor. I love painting in watercolor, but this process of painting this whole comic has been so long that it's just coming to the end and seeing my stack of papers dwindle down to only 4 left out of like almost 80. It just like, wow, it's like, it feels pretty good to just be like, wow, I'm almost done with this. That feels pretty good to me, and I'm happy about that. I feel pretty happy about that, I must say. And this part, the actual light is shining on this girl from, I wanted her to look a little bit, can you guys see? Yeah, I wanted her to look a little bit angelic in this, because she's right now, she's talking about the governor, the new governor of town. It's not like necessarily like the governors like we see in our cities here in the States. He's more like an overseer that was sent there by higher government, but you know, everyone calls him governor. He's more just like an overseer though. The cool thing is like, you know, this girl sort of idolizes him. She thinks he's like, you know, it's like the whispering among villagers that he's like this savior in town, you know, who's come to like help them from this oppressor, who happens to be Hatim, who is, you know, very prejudiced in his thinking and very limited in his tolerance for other ways of thinking. But ironically, that his stepdaughter is totally the opposite. She's very open-minded in her thinking. She's very much optimistic. She thinks that, you know, everyone should live in peace, and you know, she's a very totally opposite. And she's like, you know, she kind of believes, she kind of hangs out in the window a lot and she hears what the villagers say, and you know, she kind of believes, you know, hey, maybe this guy is you know, gonna help them out, gonna take them out of oppression. And Hatim doesn't think so. He's actually like, oh, he's kind of just realizing, you know, oh, this is who you're idolizing. This is the one that, you know, I thought you were thinking that I was the great one. Like, you know, she was role playing with these dolls, and I guess he sort of thought that he was getting the glory, and then he realized that it wasn't him. It was actually the guy that he's pretty jealous of who's getting the attention. But anyway, it's kind of fun to like see how things come to life as you're working on them, to just kind of see how your stories can kind of come alive while you work on them. It's pretty cool. I mean, every stage is like something else. Like just from doing like the thumbnails, it just feels like one thing, just like, oh, getting the pose right, getting this one facial expression right, you know, and then coming to this part, it's just like seeing it in full color. It's like, okay, this is a whole other level of this, and that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good, I'll say. Alright, so let me see if I can keep my windows open so I can see if I get any sort of questions or whatever. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, open up my window. Why does Facebook keep asking me about WhatsApp? I don't know. Whatever. Keeps asking me about WhatsApp for some reason. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this. I showed you guys, did I show you guys Abia before? Abia is the wife of Hatim. Let me see. It looks a little bit fuzzy in the playback. I mean, the outlines are pretty dim. They're meant to be so that I can ink over them without having these, you know, sort of really obvious marks there. But let me see. Hopefully I can get it right. I did change the colors a bit in this scene. I changed them around because I want them to reflect more of the mood. So you'll see in some of the photos that like the lighting might not be the actual light that it is. It's more of a feeling sort of colors that I'm using. And I know that's done a lot in filmmaking and in storytelling in general. You know, in any sort of visual storytelling, you might want to change up the obvious color palette to like a more suggestive color palette where you're kind of telling a story with the color. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. In this picture frame here where he's kind of got his all red in the background, and in a couple of scenes I have like this purple light shining through the window. I wanted it to be a little bit, I guess, eerie, or like I just got this book and I'll show you what it is. It's actually recommended in a different book that I'm reading, the comic book that I'm reading, How to Publish Comics. There was a little blurb in there that recommended this book, and it's called If It's Purple, Someone's Gonna Die. And this, the power of color in visual storytelling. And I haven't read it yet, but the writer is this Patty Bellatoni. But I haven't read the book yet. I'm still finishing the one I'm reading right now, but it is on my high level of next readers. But just going off of the title alone, I thought, hey, maybe, you know, I can throw in a little purplish color in this window and maybe get a bit of a, get something going, you know? Get something going just with the color of the title there. Oh, I picked the wrong color, didn't I? Or I've got too much of the right color. Something got wrong. Alright. So I'm going to fill this in. And I'm just going to fill in all the basic colors first. And then I will start to get to like the more suggestive. I'll add shadows and all of those things. Let's see if you guys can see my last. Okay. Oh, every time I add a little bit too much color, I want it to be like a light, very pale green in the back. Almost like a blue-green color. So I gotta wash that out quite a bit. Then I can go back and add that right yellow that I want. And you see in this panel, I've changed that that light from the window from purple to yellow, because all of a sudden it's like, oh look, and what she actually sees out of the window is the governor. He's walking past as they're speaking, you know, like kind of like speak of the devil sort of thing, but you know, speak of the angel, I guess in this case, you know, speak of the good guy. He kind of just like came out just as they were talking about him. And I don't know, that's kind of fun. I'm gonna move back over to my first panel. See if you can see. It looks really scary in this photo. And you know, I actually got the inspiration for this like expression on his face. I was trying to think like, what is like the scariest cartoon moment that I've seen? You know, what's the scariest like cartoon face that I've seen? And it brought me to like actually this one scene in Pinocchio where like that one, I guess that, what do they call it, like the puppet master or like the ringleader of like the children's abduction service or whatever it is, the children's abduction circus, I guess it is, when that one guy, that ringleader, you know, he's talking and he has his face is like bugged out. Oh, I think I gotta watch out too, make sure I don't put my hand in the previous in my other panel that's still wet. But I realized that that was probably one of the scariest like scenes I've seen, and as far as like our facial expressions that I've seen as far as animation goes. And so I looked it up and I really based my villain's expression based on that scene, and it really helped a lot to like draw back from things that, you know, scared me when I was a kid. I don't want to necessarily scare kids, but I wanted to have that moment where it's like, oh, that guy looks really creepy, you know. I want you to have that moment, even if you're not a kid reading this, which, you know, I want several ages to read this, but especially teenagers. I still want it to be that, I think even as a teenager, you know, animated scenes can be, or cartoonish types, oh dang, I messed that up, can be pretty scary. They were for me. Even though I was watching, you know, real horror movies, still some of the animated scenes are scarier, you know. I don't know if you had that moment, but you probably had, where you saw something that was pretty scary, or saw something that you know, reminded you that of something that scared you when you were little. That can be scary too. You know, we have like triggers and stuff like that, that things that remind us of the things that scared us when we were little. And I wanted it to kind of be a little bit reminiscent of that, or have that sort of a feeling. I'm just adding a second layer onto this. The building, the temple, which is where my main guy resides with his family, with his very cruel wife, but very kind and soft-hearted stepdaughter. You definitely want to give like your evil family some depth. You know, I don't think there's any family where everyone's all evil. There's always like different personalities within a family. For this particular family, um, you know, have my main guy that's pretty cruel, and his wife that, you know, who knows how cruel is she? We're not sure, but she's definitely not a nice lady. But we have this totally opposite daughter, which we don't know how that happens. How does somebody have cruel parents and end up being really soft-hearted? I don't know, but it does happen in real life. So you want to think about the depth of your families and the dynamic of your families. Not everyone has the same personalities within one family. There's always like some variation. There's always like some people who care more about certain things than others. So these are just things to think about, you know. Just some things to think about. And I'm going to fill this in. You do kind of have to work quickly with watercolor, because if you don't, it won't spread properly. You can't just go back over it anytime, anyway. It will ruin what you've already put down. So it takes a little bit of getting used to with that. You want to work in the same, fill up the same area pretty quickly, have just the right amount of water. And how do you learn how to do that? I don't know. I guess it just takes a little bit of messing it up a few times before you realize, okay, how much is the right amount of water and how much is the right amount of paint. Definitely took me a while, and I'm still, you know, doing that balancing out, figuring out, you know, how I want to do things. Okay. But I would do a couple more layers on them here. I'll let this side dry, and I'll start the other side again. All right. Gonna fill in his hat. I was thinking, like, I didn't realize, or I think I don't know what it was. My main character and my villain were some of the same colors, and the main distinct color is the purple color. I wanted them to wear purple for two different reasons. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if that was a good choice or not. I'm not going to go ahead and repaint all of his clothes, but I know the pattern will be very different. So maybe I should just wait until I put the pattern on and see how I feel about it. I was gonna get, his is a little bit more of a deeper, richer, I guess, purple than Jaydi, but I mean, I'm wondering if I should set them apart. I mean, I think I had an idea to kind of, you know, bring them together in some way through the colors, but at the same time, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's the right choice or not. I'm trying to figure that out, and I would like to just kind of see, you know, what I want to do with that. and figure out if that's, I don't know. I think once I put the pattern on, it will be a lot, it will distinguish them separately much more, but I just want to figure out if that's going to be enough, because I know the patterns and the colors on their patterns are going to be very different. Actually, the colors that I have for Jaydi are from this little bird in Kenya that I really liked the pattern on, and I wanted to use for her. I'll have to show you what that is, but hers will be much more bright and colorful, and his will be much more deep and darker and richer, and a little bit more chunkier, I think, whereas hers will be more feminine. So they all wear sort of like this kanga fabric, which has these different patterns in it, and so I don't know, we'll just have to see how that will develop. I might even develop their clothing more in the next issue. So if it, I mean, I want them to keep them like recognizable, but I think I will maybe just do a little bit more development or advancement in their costumes in the next one. Alright, I'll be right back. Let me heat up my coffee. You guys should see my cat. She just completely knocked out on the completely knocked out. Sleeping. Okay. Let's do this. Alright, I'm gonna start. Dang, I want to find my extra paintbrush. I have no idea what happened to it. I really want to find it. I feel like it must have fell, but where, I don't know. Little things like that really bother me. Like, I hate losing things. I can't stand losing things. It drives me nuts when I don't know where my stuff is. I don't know. I think it's a trigger from days of yonder when my things were taken from me and I would never see them again. I might be slightly traumatized, but alright, so I'm gonna keep, sometimes I need to look back at my previous illustrations just to make sure that I'm keeping in the same color schemes. Like, everything makes sense from the last pages, the last panels. Show you guys what I did before. It's just like one of the last ones. It's another one. I think I'm gonna reference these a little bit. just need to see which one was what color. So the left hand was the orange. I could use a little bit more water in my paint, some of my paints. I do need to change the arm position because I realized that I made her arm, I switched accidentally their arm position because I had them like one was yelling at the other, one doll was yelling at the other one, and the one that's supposed to be yelling has her like arms up, and that was supposed to be the other doll, not the one in the orange but the one in the blue that was on her left side. So it's like little things you have to keep track of all the time too when you're doing this, because it's easy to like mix up things like that. Like I'm probably gonna have to fix that in Photoshop, because I mean their arms are where they are. You can't really change that so much. And when I'm moving the brush, I'm just like dipping it off on my side. Always keep just like a spare piece of paper handy so that I can just wipe my brush off whenever I have access. And I always keep my brushes in this little like pan thing with a cloth too, so I can just, you know, dapple it off or whatever if I have too much paint on there. So little tricks that I use just to keep it easier and keep everything moving. Let's see. It helps to just be gentle with everything. Some of these I'm gonna need to like go back over. The birds are really having a party outside, aren't they? They're making a lot of noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the birds outside my window are really yucking it up for some reason. They're just happy it's spring. Every once in a while I have this fear that I'm being boring. Why? I don't know. I just have like this fear that like, am I talking enough? Am I saying enough? Is what I'm saying boring? Like, I don't know. I learned a little bit about that. Like, I think we all have to like build our strengths, right? Build on the things that we're not great on, you know. And I was just listening to this thing this morning, like, you know, just focus on your strengths, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? Just trying to focus on like, okay, I can draw. Let me do this. But, you know, in order to share that, I need to be able to communicate. And so, you know, to an extent, I want to be able to speak and to, you know, share and talk with you all. And one of the things that I did was I got this program. It's about like, you know, connecting with people and learning how to like, you know, talk. learning how to talk. I mean, basically, yeah, it's learning how to talk, because it's not necessarily natural for everybody. It certainly is not necessarily natural for me. I have to, like, work at it. But one of the things I was saying is, like, you have to basically, what are you thinking about? And say it out loud. And I was just thinking, like, am I being boring? And so, thanks to the program that I got, I said it out loud, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about right now. And I know that so many people in my field, go through this. It's not like it's just me. And that also puts me a little bit at ease. Like, I know I'm not the only one that goes through this. Like, I know I'm not the only one that has trouble. Like, some people, like, I've met have been, like, really have a difficulty talking to others. And it really sucks, because, you can be great at drawing, and many people are, but you also have to be able to, speak with people. I mean, just as an artist, we're all kind of like entrepreneurs, some of us more than others, but, like, we all have to kind of sell ourselves, because we're always, to work. And then in an art field, especially in animation, like, you're going to be contracted, and you have to be an independent worker to be contracted. So I don't know, it's just one of those things that we kind of have to build up. One of the things that I want to build up, and I'm learning how, slowly but surely. I really like doing these videos, and I think it's helped me to come out of my little turtle shell more and more, and to just, share my thoughts with other people. And there's been a few people that like it. So, I mean, I guess, that's the takeaway. I mean, not everyone is going to be into you, per se, but somebody will. So just, like, for me, like, I'm just trying to learn, so, like, some people will like it, then that's a good thing. It don't have to be everybody. If it's some people, then some people. That's okay too. That's okay. Oh. His eyes are usually so dark that they just look black, but because he's standing right next to the window, and this scene is a little bit, dramatic, to say the least, I want him to show a little bit, because, typically people's eyes are never pure black. I want to give him a little bit of that brown to show, like right there in the spotlight. It's kind of cool. Even over the parts where I shaded, I'm going to cover over with this pink color, because I don't want it to be gray in there. I just want it to reflect, like, the deeper red. That's starting to come out. It's starting to look lively, I think. I'm gonna go back over here. And her lips are a little bit pink. Just a tad. But I think in a way, many of us became, who, have been drawing for a long time, got good at drawing because we suck at talking. I mean, not for nothing, but I think it's kind of true that, we weren't really great at talking, and so we spent a lot of time with our noses in, you know, our sketchbook, or for people like me, in our notebook, doodling on the corners of our, you know, regular homework pages, or, you know, class notes, which is what I used to do all the time. I would just doodle on my class notes constantly. I still sort of do that everywhere I go. Anytime where somebody gives me like a pen and a paper, it doesn't matter how serious the convention is or whatever, I'm definitely going to be drawing something on those papers. Like at my church, like they give us a paper and a pen every week. Even though it just started reopening, I still, even after the pandemic and we haven't been in person in a year, I still do that now that we're back. I can't help but like doodle if I have a pen and paper in my hand, especially if I'm having to sit and listen to someone. I'm definitely gonna draw. It's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. It's just one of those things, you know. All right. This is getting there. This is getting there. All right. You guys see that? Definitely not with my arm in the way. Okay. But let's see, what else can we discuss today? What is on the agenda for today? What is one thing that's been on my mind lately that I can share? I don't know if I told you guys I'm getting a dog. I'm getting a dog very soon. In 2 months? No, 1 month. She's gonna be here in 1 month. She was born last month, same month as me. She's a Taurus though, so she was born in late April, and it's really cool because I haven't had a dog in a long time. I have my cat. I love my cat, but I haven't had a dog in a long time, and I realized, you know, just haven't been around dogs in forever, and being around my mom's dog in Georgia really was a reminder for me of how much I love dogs. I mean, like, I was thinking about it for a time before I actually got out there, but once I got out there, it really like solidified. Oh my gosh, I really miss having a dog. I just love their energy, their playfulness. It's like how I am in real life. I love just goofing and talking to dogs, and the way that they respond to you. Oh, I just love it. So I'm really, really excited. Getting a girl, getting a golden doodle. I was planning to get a golden retriever, but my son has dog allergies. So, getting a golden doodle, and I'm really have, you know, the idea of having her around has really grown on me and gotten close to me. So I'm excited, very, very excited about that. You guys, I think I'm more of a dog person than a cat person, but I think I wouldn't define myself as either. I would define myself as an animal person. I just really like animals. All kinds. I like lizards. I like frogs. I like squirrels. I love ferrets. I just like animals. I mean, we all have our things. We all have our things. And that's the thing, that's one of the things that I'm pretty passionate about, is animals. And there's a few animals in this comic, actually. There's a few. My main character has a pet that is actually her source of income, which is her dairy goat. In a lot of countries, dairy from goats and cows is like a great source of income, especially for poor families. but the dairy they produce, you know, is good income. And so that's the case with my main character. She's had the goat since she was with her parents, but since then she's just kept the goat and is barely being able to, you know, pay to feed the goat. But I mean, it's helping her to pay for her family, and that's like her only source of income. That and the generosity of strangers, or townsfolk, I should say, not necessarily strangers. Okay, I'm trying to think of what I need to paint next. I think I'll go ahead and paint the second layer. The last panel I did the second layer of his clothes in a dark blue, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to do that again, which I think I will probably do. It helped bring a little bit of another dimension to his clothes. Let me see. Sometimes watercolor gets a little bit grainy after it's been sitting for a while. To, like, I think you can, I get it out sometimes with like keep mixing it and adding some more paint, but sometimes it's hard to get out the graininess. Like, if you can see in this, how it's kind of grainy. It's super grainy. Let me add some more paint. Let me see what color that is. That is my phthalo blue. Let's see if I can find that. Phthalo. I do notice that the both good quality and like the cheaper quality watercolor paints both get grainy, but I feel like the cheaper ones get grainy faster. So you have to keep, it's always good to check your paint before you just plop it onto the paper. I never really want to, you know, just plop it in. So, I mean, most of the time it's salvageable. I think for the most part it is salvageable. You just have to add more paint and mix it really well, and it usually will get back to life. Let's see how that looks. Like you see, that's pretty good. I probably will mix it a little bit more. I think I put the wrong color. Did I put the wrong color? That doesn't look like the right color. Oh boy. Maybe it wasn't phthalo blue after all. I feel like it was though. There's no other color that it would be. This other one, ooh, it's really sticky. Maybe I just put them in the wrong order. Or maybe it's the ultramarine. Oh, it is ultramarine. I put the wrong color. I see. Violet. It's actually cobalt. I put the wrong one. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Means I'm gonna have to take that out of the palette. Alright. Well, gotta do what we gotta do. No sense crying over it. I'm gonna use, it's called cobalt. So what I'm gonna do is, let me see if I can show you my colors out if I need to. Let me see. Can't see anything. There. I'll just stick a napkin in there and let it absorb, or any type of absorbent tissue. I'll just let it absorb. And that does the trick up really quick. Just pull it out, do that a few times, wipe it out. And you can switch the color. Doesn't need to be perfect because I'm still going to be using blue. If I was really changing the color, I'd rinse it out and all that, but since I'm doing this, I'll just wipe it a few times and that'll do the trick. Just wiping it. And let me see if I can find my cobalt blue to add. Actually, now that I think of it, I should be using my phthalo blue in the palette because phthalo blue is a really nice color. But, oh well. Cobalt. Is that right? I'll just add my cobalt. It's a nice, almost violet blue. And I'll add some water to that and get that going. Excuse me. Hiccup burp for a second. Alright guys, here I am, coming back. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about, actually, now that I think about it, is like having something to say. I guess, like, you know, me realizing that, like, or just thinking, like, you know, in this moment I was like not having anything to like converse about. But that's not actually what I mean. Not like, you know, just in talking casually, but I mean in your artwork. I think it's really important to have something to say in your artwork, and I don't want to discourage anybody because I remember when I first heard that a few years ago, and I didn't really get it because I didn't know if I had anything to say. I didn't know, like, if I was saying anything or whatever, and I wasn't really sure, like, what that meant, and I wasn't sure, like, you know, what I valued, I guess. And it can be discouraging if you don't know, you know, you're maybe just trying to learn art, and you know, maybe you don't have anything to say yet. Maybe just like, you know, you have like ideas that are funny or whatever. But I think it's having something to say is just knowing what you care about and incorporating that into what you're doing somehow. It's the difference between, I don't want to say this, but I want to say this. It's the difference between like a Disney Pixar film and like what is it called? See, I don't even remember the name. What is it? Illumination film. Like, sure, like watching the whatever they're called, the Minions is funny or whatever, and they made millions of dollars, but it's, for me, it kind of falls flat. It's kind of empty because I'm not like growing from watching the movies. I'm not like, I don't feel anything when I watch those movies. If I watch Soul, I feel something. I feel like inspired, or Coco, I feel inspired And the difference is the purpose and the intention, and like, you know, whatever that John Lasseter has been accused of is, I don't know if any of that stuff is true or not, but I definitely think that, not for nothing, I don't like know anything about his personal life, but in storytelling, I know that he definitely had a standard of intention for the movies that he made, and that makes a difference. Walt Disney had an intention for the stories that he made. You know, of course, he loved entertaining people. He really loved entertaining, and he succeeded at that. But at the same time, he always, you know, he gave heart to his movies. And I think it really makes a difference. It really makes the end difference, you know, whether your movies and your stories are going to like resonate with people. And, you know, not everything Disney makes now is like, all of it is, you know, going to touch your heart, but a lot of it, I think, is part of their history and part of their, I don't know, legend, I would say. Let me grab my toast. Not to get unsentimental, let me grab my toast before it burns. I'll be right with you guys. Have to grab my toast. Okay, I got my toast. Anyway, like I was saying, you really need to have something to say, or else it's just kind of like, people are not going to remember you. They might be entertained in the moment, but I kind of feel like without any intention in your projects, people will forget you quickly. And not necessarily just you, but I'm also speaking about myself. Like, if I draw something and it's just kind of like funny or whatever, but there's nothing deeper than that, then it's just kind of like, people move on. They just, you know, move on to something else that's funny in the moment, to another TikTok movie or whatever. I think it's the heart, you know, the deeper meaning behind that. If that still sounds confusing to me, because it was confusing, I mean, it sounds confusing to you because that was confusing to me at first, write down what it is that you care about. This is what it is that I care about. What do I care about? And I think I actually had a professor that asked me that, and I know I talked about it in a video a long time ago. But just ask yourself that. What do I care about? What's one thing that I really care about, that I really feel passionate about? You know? And then, you know, think about, like, you know, any thing that you've contributed to, any like organization that, you know, caught your eye, any protests that, like, you know, inspired you to go out and do something, or any it could be like a movement that just, you know, for some reason piques your interest more than others do. Or it could be like animals, you know. It could be like that you just have this thing for wildlife, or giving back to animals for some reason. What is it that you really, really care about? And if it's more than one thing, fine. Make a list. But after you make that list, like, read it over, and like maybe even prioritize them. What on this list really, really means something to me right now? Not forever, right now. You can change it later, but think right now, like, what is the thing that like inspires me right now? What is the thing that I really, you know, there was only one thing that I could contribute to for the next 6 months, what would it be? And you can prioritize it that way. And that one thing on the top of your list, draw it one way or another. Just draw something about it in a sketchbook. And you can let that just be your starting block. Ooh, I got toast on my painting. I love how I'm talking about all this deep stuff and I get toast crumbs on my painting. Sorry about that. Just something to think about. That could be your something to say. And like I said, it's not something to say forever. It's something that you want to say right now. And that's it. That's all it's about. I think I like this tone of blue over the top of the purple. It just adds a little bit more distinction between him and my main character. It's just like a little bit of a tint, but I think it adds something that it needed. So I like that. You can make people laugh while also making them feel. You know? I mean, look at The Lion King. You know, it's really a lot more than just, you know, about a lion. If it wasn't like meaningful, it wouldn't be remembered for all these years. People still watching it almost 30 years later. Can you believe it's almost a 30-year-old movie? But people are not going to be talking about Minions in 30 years. They're just not. Nobody's going to care about, like, what is it called? That Count Dracula movie. I don't even remember the name of it. Nobody's going to be talking about that movie in 30 years. That's what I say. That's just my opinion. All of this is opinion. You know. But that's, you know, it's true. Nobody's gonna be thinking about those other stuff, but people will remember Lion King for decades. This one is supposed to have her hands up, and this one is supposed to have her hands down. I'll have to Photoshop the other part out. I don't know if you guys ever seen these dolls, but I used to get dolls like these. They're handmade dolls. They're African dolls, but they also make them in African descended countries. So I used to get these when I was a kid in Barbados. There's these little handmade dolls. If I could show you a picture, they're really cool. Even my husband bought me one from. He bought me one from Senegal. He didn't go to Senegal, but he had found a shop where they were selling these, and he got me one a few years ago. They're so cool. They're handmade. Some of them are like reversible, so you can flip them upside down, and underneath the dress would be another doll. If I could show you. I'm looking for right now. It's like these type of dolls. They're so cool looking. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see that? Not really. They're these really cool handmade dolls. They're really simple in design, but they're so fun. I used to love mine. No idea where it is right now. The ones that I had when I was a kid. But that's what she has. She has these little handmade dolls. These little African style dolls. They're like, this one is similar to in the face. It's really simple. You guys can see it's a simple design. But it's really cool. Is it upside down? Yeah. I'm going to show you upside down. There it is. But mine were more like this. You see that? So the one that she has in my book is like the one I have. You see that? Cool. Cool dolls. Alrighty. So, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? I think I'm gonna put another layer of her complexion on Atifa 69 is the color. Which color is 69? Must be this one. Just want to put like a more thin top layer for her color. Lower it down a little bit. Get her hands. But you see how it's just patience. I don't even think about the time when I'm doing this, really. I don't want to sound like cheesy, but while the brush is down, time just goes. Like it's already been over an hour been painting this. It doesn't feel like it at all. It just feels like, I don't know, like time transcends or something. I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna do the sound of, let me do a couple more things before we're almost up to shading. Almost there. and then it will just be like lighting, because other than that, it's really all about the ink. You know, the ink is such a big part of this. The shading will definitely transform it quite a bit, but that ink, man, that'll make the big difference. And you'll see it when I get to that part. It makes a huge difference on the final outcome. It's like, you know, when you have when you're doing a digital painting and you have that ink layer, it's really like nothing. It looks like nothing almost when you're just when you take off the visibility of your ink layer and you put that back on. It's just like bam, that's your drawing, man. It's all about that ink. Add a little bit of flesh color to Hatim. Trying to figure out how much pink to add to my guys. I don't want them to look like ladies, but I want them to look like they're alive, you know? So, trying to figure that balance out a little bit. I think I'll go ahead and start doing my... shadows if I'm almost ready for them now. Into his shoes. I like this goldish color. You guys see that? I started using a new color for my shadow. I've been using this blue. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to put this one in the more mauve colored, because I have two shadow colors. I'm trying to think which one I want to use. So I'm going to look back on my previous drawings, my previous illustrations, and kind of see, like this one. I use that purple color for the shadow. But the other ones you see will have blue. So scam likely is what my phone says, so I'm not answering that. Let's see what these spreads look like together, and then I will decide how do I want I think I'm going to do my big page. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a bit of a jump and try out my big page with the trying to figure out. I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a try and see what I think, but I think I want to do this big page with the purple lighting, the purple shading. Let me give it a try and see what happens. Who does that? Who does that? I do, apparently. I'm a psychopath. I do need another cloth here, or another sheet of watercolor. See how this goes. Okay. I think I'm gonna try it out like this. See what happens. I want that harsh shadow over this guy. I don't know, I kind of like it. What do you guys think? Kind of like it. Looks a little bit creepy, which is good. I want it to be creepy. That light is coming right in from that window, really bright. Even some of that harsh light over here, under that eye, over here. Ooh. I like it. It freaks me out, and that's great. Kind of love it. Okay, so I'm using purple. It's a purple shadow for this. And some of them I'm going to use blue. Varies a little bit with this scene. But I might later make it all purple. Who knows? Okay, it's like a, not even like, it's called, I mean the color is purple on the palette, but it's really more like a mauve color. Like a fuchsia, or even almost like a magenta. Definitely wouldn't call it, you know, purple myself, but it's a purpley color. Leave it at that, purpley. But I like that. That looks pretty nice. It's kind of what I'm looking for. You can see like his whole costume there. And I'm also going to use this color to shade this area of the wall. And I have that green color, which is the actual color there. I forget what the natural color, but underneath the shadow it's going to be this, have this little purple mauve tint to it. And Latifa is also going to be partially in shadow. If I can get her. There we go. The opposite direction that the light from the window is coming in. So about half of her is going to be in shadow, including her face there. I just love that color. It's so cool. It's so fitting for this scene, I think. And there, that shot is into shadow. And actually, this part of her headdress is a little bit more in shadow. I like it. And some of these will be purple and some of them will be more blue. Definitely this one shot of Hatim by himself will be with the purple shadows. I think the others will be in blue. Like he was trying so hard to scare her, but he didn't. And like he's like, she's just like, well, governor says that. You know, she's unbothered. She's unmoved. She's seen him at his angriest, and it doesn't really concern her that much. She knows when he's just talking, just yip yapping. Alright, there's that. I might even do another layer of red in his background. I'll have to see how I feel about that. To add a little bit more blue to my palette over here. Ultramarine blue, Prussian blue. It's Prussian blue. What's the other color here? I love how she's just unmoved in this panel. Well, Governor Amancha says. I'm going to give a little bit of shade to this whole area back here. Including her. This is hair. Sometimes you get weird stuff like a hair on your brush. To fish it out somehow. Okay. Getting there, making progress. This part's still wet. I feel like his clothes might still be wet. Trying to figure this out. A little bit more focus required here. So a bit more. Just gonna paint. Do this area. So I'm gonna paint this part first. So I know this area is nice and dry. But right now she's pointing to Governor. Governor Onwancha. This whole area is going to be in the shade, just a bit anyway. And of course make the shadow for her arm. And now, let's see, I gotta do his other shoe, which apparently I didn't do before. Over here. Dry off your brush, you can soak up and paint. It's kind of a nice little trick. Choose on as you go. And also her lipstick I didn't put yet, so let me go ahead and do that. She likes to wear this really sultry red lipstick. The townspeople would like her to be more modest, but she's her own boss. And she makes that be very, very known. All right. So I don't want to paint over where his shoe is right now because I don't want to completely destroy where I just painted. I need to find a way to paint around her lipstick as well, and her hair that I just painted in. I can go back over it later, but I want to make that nice and leave that alone for now. She's mostly in the shadow in this particular shot. Actually, kind of in this scene, she kind of stays in the shadow. Very mysteriously. Can paint around his shoe, but I don't want to paint his shoe right now anyway. You can always come back to different parts that you need to shade in later. Just remember them. If you need to make a note, then make a note, but remember to come back to the parts where you might need to shade in later. A little bit deeper back here. It's further away into the shadows of the room. This area here can be shaded. And that's about it. For the shading, I'll come back to his other shoe. Oh, can you guys see? Oh yeah, you can see that. That's about it for the shading. I'm gonna do, if I should do a shadow here. If I should do the shadow underneath him. I don't know if it would show. It's coming from this way. I'll just leave it for now, and I'll do the highlights and then I'll think about it. So if you're not sure about something and you're working especially in something like watercolor where it's not like you can just, delete and come back, just leave it for the moment. You can think about it, you can think about it and come back to it later. It's always and always an option. You can always come back and continue working on it later if you're not sure about some particular aspect of something that you're working on. To clean out my yellow, it's getting a little dingy. But I add my highlights with yellow, just kind of water it down. I'll be adding more of like effects like this when I actually pull it into Photoshop. But I want most of it to be done right here. I'll just be adding like little things in Photoshop, but I want to get these colors down. Like right where that light is shining in, I want it to kind of have a little bounced light, I guess you can call it, off of him, off of his clothes, whatever. It's that bounced sunlight that's coming in. A bit here. Alright. A bit. Make that windowsill a little bit brighter. So that deeper yellow color on her headdress there. You guys see that? The camera is not always most flattering. It'll, once it's all dried and get the ink and everything on there, it'll show much clearer. Of the bounce right over here on the windowsill. Put it on her face. Doing more harsh light on him because I just wanted to look him to look more villainous since he is the villain. So just a little bit more dramatic lighting with him. Last panel. I think I want to do another pass on her shirt color actually. It's looking not as bright as I want it to, so I'll just go ahead and take that color and do another pass of that red color on her shirt. A little bit brighter. I'll have to let that dry. I'm also going to add this orange color, which is the decals on the wall. I'll add that. Add that on there. Also add the decals up here. And over here, however faint that they are. Right. If you ever want to like be extra with a character, also draw every single tooth in their mouth. If you guys can see that, I like. Usually when you're doing cartooning, you're not gonna do the lines in their teeth. If you want to be extra, go ahead and add those lines in their teeth, and it adds that super creep like thing to it. A lot of cartoons do that when they're doing like a really dramatic scene. Like if you watch SpongeBob and you see SpongeBob's doing something really extra, all of a sudden he has like 1,000 teeth. Okay, now I think I can add the shadow to this foot back here. And also the second foot over here. And I think, where else? Here, just a bit. I think that's about it for this spread. Not bad timing at all, I might say. Not bad at all. That's it for this spread, and that's it for us today. I will be back, continuing to, I think by the time I come back to you guys next week, I will be on the inking, because I only have 2 left of these to go, and so that's gonna be about it, guys. I'm so excited. This is so exciting, guys. Super exciting. I'm really excited to do this with you all. So thank you all so much for joining me. Let me see. What else do I need to say? Anything? Anything else? My name is Alicia Dianne. You can check me out on aliciadianne.com. I have a little shop there. I have a little email list that will send you some free goodies if you're interested in free stuff. You might want to sign up for my email list. You can join it on aliciadianne.com. And let me flip the screen so you guys can see me. Don't look at my butt. Here we go. Can you see me now? I think so. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in today. I appreciate you guys, and I love you so much, and I hope to see you real soon in the next one. So be grateful, live balanced, and be yourself. See ya. Have a great one. Bye-bye.